The wind over the valley of the stars. During the night between the 2nd and the 3rd of December, a dark blanket had settled over the Star of Valley, and the snow fell heavily, as though the sky had forgotten how to breathe. Miss Sophie stood in the doorway with the key hanging around her neck. It gleamed faintly in the moonlight, still beautiful, but a little smaller than the day before. She felt a shiver of cold run down her back, though it wasn't just the frost. There was something in the wind, something whispering. "Wimsey, did you hear that?" she asked. "Of course I did," said Wimsey, pulling her hair tightly down over her ears. "That was the wind speaking. She always does when something's stirring. And trust me, she's not in a Christmas mood tonight." Miss Sophie perked up her ears. She thought, the wind can speak? Wimsey put her hands on her hips. "The wind of the Star Valley is ancient, Sophie. She carried many secrets, and some of them should stay buried." They stepped into the snow, and it felt like walking on sugar. The snow crunches softly beneath Miss Sophie's paws, and the moon reflected in the tiny crystals. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. Then, suddenly, the wind howled through the valley, a long, cold note that made the trees tremble. "She's angry," said Wimsey quietly. "She's been disturbed." "Disturbed? By what?" asked Miss Sophie, looking around. Wimsey pointed toward the frozen lake in the middle of the valley. There, there where the ice was thickest, something shimmered beneath the surface, a light, pulsing rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. "There," said Wimsey. "That's her secret. That's where the wind hides her voice." Miss Sophie took a step closer, but the cold was merciless. Every time she moved, a soft sigh came from the ice, as if it were complaining. "Be careful," warned Wimsey. "No one walks on Star Lake after midnight. It has a memory, and it doesn't forget easily." But Miss Sophie couldn't stop herself. She had been chosen, not by chances, and something deep inside her told her the key must be used here. She stepped out onto the ice, her paws slid slightly, her breath forming tiny clouds in the dark. In the middle of the lake she stopped. The key around her neck glowed faintly. She could feel warmth from it, a strange warmth, considering it was made of ice. "Come on, little key," she whispered. "Show me what to do." A gust of wind answered. It wasn't an ordinary gust, but a voice dancing between the trees. It sounds like 1,000 voices at once, soft and fierce, whispering and singing. "The breed of time is broken, the heart is frozen, free me so the light may live." Miss Sophie looked toward Vincent, who stood wide-eyed on the shore. "Did you hear that?" she shouted. "I did. I don't like it," Vincent called back. "Quick, Sophie, use the key." Miss Sophie pressed the little ice key to the surface of the bronze and frozen lake. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint light began to spread beneath her. racing outward like silver veins. The eyes sang, a deep, resonant tone, as though the lake itself were waking up. But then the wind changed its sounds. It began to wail, and the air grew heavier. Shadows dances across the snow, and out of them a dark shape formed on the ice before her. It looked like a dog, but larger, black as the night, with eyes that glows icy blue. That's the shadow guardian, gasped Wimsey. He guards the secrets. Sofie, don't move. The shadow guardian approached slowly, his paws gliding soundlessly over the ice. He sniffed toward the key, which still shimmered faintly. Miss Sofie stood perfectly still. Her heart pounded so hard she was sure he could hear it. Then he spoke, his voice like the crunch of snow underfoot. You carry the key of light. Why? Because I must save the heart of Christmas, said Miss Sofie. Her voice was small but steady. The guardian raised his head. For a moment he looked as if he might laugh. Save the light. The light must know the dark, or it will die all the same. He took a step closer. Miss Sofie stood her ground, though her paws trembled. Then let me learn, said she softly. The guardian studied her, then bowed his head. A single flake of frost fell from his fur. Courage and heart, he murmured. You resemble her more than I thought. Resemble who? Asked Miss Sofie. But the wind stole her words before they could hear the answer. The shadow guardian turned, and in an instant he was gone, dissolving into mist. The light beneath the ice grew brighter, until the whole lake glittered like a field of stars. For a brief moment, Miss Sofie stood in a sea of light, feeling a gentle warmth spreading from her paws, through her chest and out into the air around her. Wimsey ran onto the ice, her head fluttering wildly. Sofie, what did you do? I think I helped the wind remember, said Miss Sofie quietly. The light on the lake gathered into a single beam, rising toward the sky. When it reaches the clouds, they broke apart, and 1,000 stars appear above them. Wimsey, look! The stars are following the wind. When the wind awakes, the stars will follow, Miss Sofie said with a smile. It was written on the door. They stood for a long time, watching the sky as snow drifted down like silver dust. The key at Miss Sofie's neck glowed once more, and a single droplet melted and fell onto the ice, freezing again into a tiny heart-shaped mark. We completed tonight's task, said Wimsey, satisfied. But there will be more. The key melts faster when you use it. Then we better hurry, said Miss Sofie. They turned toward the house, its windows glowing warmly in the dark. Behind them the wind sang softly. no longer angry, but grateful. A high above, your single star shone brighter than all the others, as if it were watching over them. That was the end of this 3rd of December. Come back tomorrow if you will hear the secret of time, the 4th of December. Merry Christmas.